Hello and welcome. Tonight, tension in Abuja as police dispersed pro-Nnamdi Kanu protesters with tear gas, arresting his brother, lawyer and others for defying court order. Vice President Kashim Shettima announces EFCC's major strides in anti-corruption efforts, reveals asset recoveries exceeding 500 billion naira and over 7,000 convictions nationwide. Minister of Information Mohammed Idris calls on communication professionals to champion truth-driven public relations in combating genocide claims and safeguarding Nigeria's global reputation. Amazon restores normalcy after a massive outage disrupted major websites and apps globally, though some U.S. users continue to experience intermittent connectivity issues. In our business, Nigerian Communications Commission unveils quarterly reports to track network performance across the country.
On sports news tonight, Super Falcons begin training in Lome ahead of Friday's 2026 Women African Cup of Nations final qualifying fixture against Benin.
And from the nation's capital, FCT Minister Nyesom Wike launches construction of modern student hostels at the Nigerian Law School Buhari, promising world-class facilities and improved welfare.
Tonight, we begin with security matters, and a combined team of security personnel comprising the police, the army, and the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps in Abuja have dispersed protesters calling for the release of the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, Mr. Nnamdi Kanu. Well, the protest, which was led by human rights activist and politician Omoyele Sowore, barely commenced at the Maitama area of Abuja when police started firing tear gas to disperse the protesters. Well, the protesters are calling for the unconditional release of Mr. Kanu, who's been in detention since 2021 following his arrest and extradition from Kenya.
All major roads to the Abuja City Center, Federal Secretariat, and the three armed zones leading to the presidential villa in Abuja are cordoned off. It's day one of the Free Nnamdi Kanu protest, earlier scheduled to kick off from the Unity Fountain. However, instead of the protesters, the Unity Fountain is under lock and key, with security operatives strategically stationed. Armed security operatives on regular patrol. Just about 500 meters from the Unity Fountain, the protesters, led by Omoyele Sowore, were dispersed with tear gas as soon as they began the protest. On the 3rd, the protesters took the march to the Utako Jabi area of Abuja, where they dragged the protest calling for the unconditional release of Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra.
We started as early as 7 a.m., but this is customary with our security forces. They attacked us unprovoked, and we decided that we will relocate to other parts of the city. And we are in Utako, and we will go around this city today until the city is shut down. Or the free Nnamdi Kanu now. That is not a tribal issue. It is not a religious issue. It is not a sentimental issue. It's a social justice issue for us. Globally.
Another combined team of security operatives again dispersed the protesters with tear gas.
They go release our brother.
The protests and security barricades caused severe traffic gridlocks on most roads leading up to the Abuja city center. Nnamdi Kanu's arrest and detention dates back to October 2015, when he was first arrested by the Department of State Service and charged with terrorism and treason for his alleged role in the activities of the indigenous people of Biafra and Radio Biafra. He was granted bail in 2017 on health ground. He, however, jumped bail in the same year and fled the country after the Nigerian army invaded his house in Umuahia, Abia State in September 2017. He was later arrested in Kenya in June 2021 and subsequently extradited to Nigeria in the same year to face his trial. Since his second arrest in 2021, bail applications by his legal team have severally been rejected. The latest is the Justice Omotosho ruling on October 23, 2025, where Nnamdi Kanu was declared fit to face his trial and was scheduled to commence his defense.
Meanwhile, the Nigeria Police Force has confirmed the arrest of Mr. Emmanuel Kanu, who is the brother of the detained IPOB leader Nnamdi Kanu, his lawyer, and 4 others for violating a court order which prohibited the protest within the 3-armed zone of the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. Speaking exclusively to Channels Television in Abuja, the Force Public Relations Officer, Mr. Benjamin Monday, says the arrested persons will be prosecuted as soon as investigations are concluded. The Force Public Relations Officer also debunked claims that the police attacked journalists in the nation's capital.
Roads barricaded, movement restricted as personnel of the Nigerian Police Force take over the 3-armed zone of the nation's capital in anticipation of the arrival of Free Nnamdi Kanu protesters. As the protesters surged towards the barricade, the police dispersed them using tear gas, and some of them are arrested.
We issued a statement warning that anybody that went against the court order would be arrested and prosecuted. That was very clear in our statement, and that played out today. Some protesters attempted to approach the villa in contravention of the court order, and they were definitely arrested. We have them in our custody now at the State Criminal Investigation Department, FCT Command, and they are being investigated. They are writing their statement as I speak, and further updates will be made known to Nigerians. Emmanuel Kanu, Nnamdi Kanu's brother, is one of them, and the lawyer too, Aloy, is also one of them.
There were also allegations of attack on journalists during the protest, an allegation that the police has dismissed.
I can say categorically that no policeman was involved in that. No police officer attacked any journalist today. Those men, as can be seen in the video, are not police officers. So I would leave it at that. No police officer attacked anybody today. I saw the video, and the officers attacking that journalist in that video are not police officers.
Although normalcy has returned to the nation's capital, the police is not taking chances as they remain on red alert.
And still on the Free Nnamdi Kanu Now protest, the presidency has now reacted to the participation of one of Nnamdi Kanu's lawyers in Abuja demonstration. The special advisor to the president on information and strategy, Boyo Onanuga, took to the social media platform X to criticize Barrister Aloy Ejimakor for joining the protest. Mr. Onanuga describes the move as a symbolic display, expressing disappointment that a lawyer representing Mr. Kanu in an ongoing treason trial will take part in a public protest over the same case. According to him, Mr. Ejimakor's involvement breaches the sub judice rule, which prohibits public comment or action on matters still before the court. The presidential spokesperson further calls on legal regulatory bodies to consider disciplinary measures against the lawyer, calling his participation unethical and unbecoming of a legal practitioner. In the meantime, earlier today, court proceedings in the nation's capital, Abuja, hit a snag as a police suit against activist Omoyele Sowore and other conveners of the Free Nnamdi Kanu Now protest suffered yet another setback. The scheduled hearing at the Federal High Court, Abuja, could not proceed as normal court activities were completely stalled. Well, according to our correspondents, although a handful of lawyers, litigants, and security guards were seen within the court premises, no judge was present, and movement in and around the area was tightly restricted. Vehicular access was blocked. Pedestrians were turned back from the cordon zone surrounding the courthouse. The case, presided over by Justice Mohammed Umar, had earlier been fixed for today for Mr. Sowore and other respondents to show cause, while an existing interim order against their protest should not be sustained. The order, which was issued last week, bars the protesters from gathering near sensitive locations in the nation's capital, including Aso Rock Villa, National Assembly, the Force Headquarters, Court of Appeal, Eagle Square, and Shehu Shagari Way, pending further hearing. And away from the Free Nnamdi Kanu protest, let's turn our attention to the achievements made by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, the EFCC, which says it has recovered assets worth over 500 billion naira. It has also secured over 7,000 convictions. Vice President Kashim Shettima disclosed this when he declared the 7th edition of a 3-day capacity building workshop for judges and justices organized by the EFCC and the National Judicial Institute open in the nation's capital. According to him, the administration of President Bola Tinubu has shielded no public official from being probed. Our State House correspondent, Emperor Simon, reports.
It's the 7th edition of the EFCC NGI Capacity Building Workshop for Judges and Justices, and Vice President Kashim Shettima is representing President Bola Tinubu at the event, which is attended by the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Kekere Ekun, Chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, Justices of the Court of Appeal, State Chief Judges, Judges of the Federal High Court, among others. The focus is on enhancing justice in the fight against economic and financial crimes amidst concerns of slow administration of criminal justice.
Without mentioning specific cases and courts, there are cases filed by the Commission 15 or 20 years ago that appeared in limbo, moving in circles. We appear to have grown accustomed to a predictable pattern in high-profile prosecutions.
The late justice emboldens the corrupt, selective justice discourages the upright, and opaque justice erodes public trust. Our institutions must therefore work not in isolation, but in synergy.
For the Chief Justice of Nigeria, justice must be delivered through processes that are fair, transparent, and consistent with the Constitution.
This delicate balance between firmness, and fairness sustains public confidence in the justice system and affirms the inviolability of the rule of law. Consequently, in discharging our duties, we must bring to bear not only our knowledge of the law, but also the highest standards of integrity, diligence, and moral courage.
Representing President Bola Tinubu, Vice President Kashim Shettima assures of the current administration's stance against corruption.
No matter the partisan sentiments woven against us, there is no person or group who can accuse this administration of shielding political actors on account of their affiliation to this government or the political party. As an administration, we have prioritized public accountability by strengthening the anti-corruption agencies and according them the needed independence to execute their statutory mandates. This enabling environment is evident in the impact that has been made in the last 2 years. The EFCC, for example, has recorded over 7,000 convictions in the first 2 years of the present administration and recovered assets in excess of 500 billion naira.
The 3-day workshop will feature technical sessions with paper presentations that explore the different issues on the administration of criminal justice in Nigeria. Emperor Simon, Channels Television News.
And in part 2, after the break, NLC gives federal government 4-week ultimatum to resolve lingering education sector issues, including the 2009 ASU agreement, or face indefinite nationwide strike action. Please join us again. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, broadcasting live from Lagos. A reminder of our main stories. Tension in Abuja as police dispersed pro-Nnamdi Kanu protesters with tear gas, arresting his brother, lawyer, and others for defying court order. Vice President Kashim Shettima announces EFCC's major strides in anti-corruption efforts, reveals asset recoveries exceeding 500 billion naira and over 7,000 convictions nationwide. Minister of Information Mohammed Idris calls on communication professionals to champion truth-driven public relations in combating genocide claims and safeguarding Nigeria's global reputation. And on the foreign scene, Amazon restores normalcy after a massive outage disrupted major websites and apps globally, though some users in the U.S. continue to experience intermittent connectivity issues. The Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, has asked communication professionals to deploy truth-based public relations as a strategic tool to counter the false narrative of a so-called genocide against Christians being propagated against Nigeria. He was speaking at the national unveiling of the World Public Relations Forum 2026, which was held in Abuja. Our correspondent Victoria Longjun reports.
It's the unveiling ceremony of the National Planning Committee for the hosting of the 2026 World Public Relations Forum. The ceremony, hosted by the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mr. Mohammed Idris, has in attendance the President of the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations, Mr. Ike Neliako, the Minister of Aviation, Mr. Festus Keyamo, amongst other invited guests. The Minister of Information in his remarks stressed the need for responsible communication, particularly in the digital era, to counter false narratives.
I therefore urge us to use the instruments of public relations crafted in truth and facts to vehemently reject this single despicable narrative about Nigeria. It is incumbent on all of us to unite in a voice that will ensure that Nigeria is indeed a country that is anchored on the freedom for everyone to practice his or her religion.
For the President of the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations, the initiative is a laudable one, set to position Nigeria on the global stage.
We had the opportunity to showcase Nigeria to the global community in a manner that has not been done before. And we are bringing those who can influence policies for Nigeria.
Contributing to the conversation, the Controller General of Customs pledged to collaborate with the committee to ensure the smooth entry and exit of participants.
We are already setting standards. We are, taking on international best practice to ensure that Nigeria compares with anywhere in the world. Customs will be important, immigration will be important, civil defense will be important, the military, the police, the market woman, people selling goods in the market, everybody, it's a total whole of society approach that we must take to ensure that we give the rest of the world a very good experience when they come to Nigeria.
The theme for the forum, which will be hosted in Abuja in 2026, is Responsible Communication, the Voice of the World. From Abuja, Victoria Longjun, Channels Television News.
The President of the Nigeria Labour Congress, the NLC, Mr. Joe Ajaero, says a committee of all education unions under the Congress have all agreed to give the federal government 4-week ultimatum to address all outstanding issues, including the 2009 agreement with ASU. The NLC president stated this during a press conference at the Labour House in Abuja with all national leaders of the unions in attendance. He says that if after the expiration of the ultimatum, the government does not meet their demands, then the NLC will begin an indefinite strike in solidarity with university-based unions.
We said after 4 weeks, the NLC organs will meet and present to the organs the situation. If that's the route they decide to tow, we tow that route. The law even says 2 weeks, for an ultimatum. And in most instances, in this country or any other country in the world, you can have what we call white card industrial action. like this one now, is out of provocation. We may decide for either for or not any notice for action. But we have looked at it, the practicability of it, and say within 4 weeks, it's like this one is finishing now, and you still have another 4 weeks. If you come to negotiation with utmost good faith, that negotiation can finish in 1 day. It can finish in 2 days. I have not had anywhere where even notices past 2 weeks. Or if you now say 4 weeks are not enough, will you now take 1 year? So 4 weeks is enough, is fair enough, have been ongoing, and they are not new issues. So we can address them. And if somebody goes into an agreement and starts to tell you that they are not implementable, nobody, I'm not aware that government has negotiated under duress or under gunpoint. So they should not even be the party to renege on agreement.
And it's a show of solidarity and celebration in Awka South, Anambra State, as supporters of the All Progressives Grand Alliance, APGA, rallied behind Governor Chukwuma Soludo's re-election bid. But the event held at the District Officers Field in Anambra in Amobia had in attendance several party members and supporters.
Mr. Governor, Awka South are saying that you were indeed a champion.
The district officers' field in Amobia, Awka South, was filled to capacity as residents and supporters of the All Progressives Grand Alliance rallied to reaffirm their support for Governor Chukwuma Soludo's re-election. They hailed the Soludo administration for what they describe as the transformation of Awka South into a model of inclusive growth, with better roads, improved schools, modern health facilities, and stronger security.
He is a wonderful man. Thank you, Your Excellency. Now today, Amagozi School is charged.
That they are overjoyed.
Representatives of Awka stakeholders, led by Professor Nkemdili Nonyelu, praised the governor's people-oriented style and achievements.
All the governors that performed, that ruled Anambra State before Soludo, not one of them remembered that the central factor in any development of a state is the development of the capital city. And for that, Mr. Soludo, it is a paradigm shift. The solution for city is there.
The Deputy Governor, Dr. Onyeka Chukwuebezem, highlights the major infrastructure projects redefining the capital city, including the new government house, the 20-hectare leisure park, and the Solution Fund City project.
We are very, very emotional about the developmental strides in Awka. You have changed Awka from a glorified local government headquarters to a world-class capital city. Mr. Governor, 100 million naira.
With over 100 million naira raised in campaign support, Awka South declares full backing for Governor Soludo's return on November the 8th.
We are working very hard. We are in all the markets. We are in all the streets. We are in everywhere, campaigning vigorously, house to house, door to door, because we are not taking any vote for granted. Our target this time is not just to win 21 over 21 local governments or to win the 326 electoral wards. We are targeting the 5,720 polling units.
The event also saw members of the Obedient Movement, led by Mr. Ike Nazonchine, officially defect to APGA, citing Mr. Soludo's transparent governance and integrity.
Still ahead on the news at 10. Nigerian Communications Commission unveils quarterly reports to track network performance across the country. Please join us again. Welcome back. You're still watching the news at 10 on Channels Television. Let's head to Abuja Studios now, where Terry Kumi is standing by to bring us more stories. Hello, Terry.
Well, hi, Anne. Thank you very much. We're staying with the governorship race In Anambra State, where the governorship candidate of the African Democratic Congress in the upcoming election, John Chuma Nwosu, has urged the Independent National Electoral Commission, politicians, voters, and other stakeholders to take decisive steps against vote buying. Speaking during his door-to-door campaign in Ezinifite community, Agwata local government area, Mr. Nwosu also called on law enforcement agencies to implement measures that would discourage citizens from trading their votes, warning that such actions amount to mortgaging their future.
The campaign train of the African Democratic Congress, ADC, arrives in Ezinifite, Agwata local government area as part of its ongoing door-to-door sensitization campaign against vote buying and voter apathy ahead of the November 8th governorship election. Leading the advocacy, the party's governorship candidate, John Chuma Nwosu, reiterated his commitment to promoting credible elections and democratic values in the state. He expresses confidence in the competency of INEC, but emphasized the need for vigilance and the commitment by all stakeholders to ensure a fair and free election.
Because of 31 and a half years, I've been managing a company, JetLink Limited, an ICT company. Now, but because of the lack of trust, that's why I went to the estate. I was wearing an affidavit so that people will believe me.
The ongoing door-to-door sensitization program by the ADC aims to inspire active voter participation and discourage electoral malpractice as the countdown to the Anambra governorship election continues.
Now, President Bola Tinubu has approved the construction of another auditorium for the Nigerian Law School in Abuja. The directive was announced by the Minister of Federal Capital Territory, Mr. Nyesom Wike, during the flag-off ceremony for the construction of hostels for students of the law school in Buhari Area Council of the nation's capital. Our correspondent, Benny Ark, reports.
This event marked the official flag-off of the construction of new hostel blocks for students of the Nigerian Law School, Buhari, aimed at improving student welfare and learning conditions in the institution. The ceremony is attended by top government officials, including the Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Federation, the FCT Minister, members of the legal community, staff and students of the Nigerian Law School, as well as representatives of the Federal Capital Territory Administration. In his remarks, the Director General of the Nigerian Law School, Professor Issa Chiroma, recalled that the minister had earlier promised to make a budgetary provision for the project in 2025, a promise now fulfilled.
This hostel will go a long way in assisting the Nigerian Law School to fulfill its mandate. We are not taking this for granted. On behalf of the Council of Legal Education, Nigerian Law School, Management and Staff of Nigerian Law School, I respectfully thank His Excellency, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, DCFR, for approving this project.
Speaking on the infrastructural progress made in the law school, the FCT Minister, during his address, made a disclosure.
Just 2 years in office of Mr. President, through his Attorney General, we have visited this Nigerian Law School campus 2 times. 2 times. In essence, you can say that every year, Mr. President has one thing to do in Nigerian Law School. Luckily for us, I was privileged to be with Mr. President last night, and I tabled this to him. He said, go back, make sure another auditorium is.
The event organized by the Noella Foundation aims to equip young graduates with the skills and confidence needed to thrive in today's job market.
It's the return of the Life After School Annual Summit, and over 500 final year students from tertiary institutions across Lagos are here for an impactful experience. Now in its second edition, the summit aims to set students apart in the competitive job market by boosting their career readiness through a series of empowerment workshops. The convener, who is also the co-founder and managing director of Noella Foundation, Layal Tinubu, reminds the students what Life After School Summit was created.
The leap from university into the professional world can be daunting, but let me assure you, uncertainty is not a weakness. It is the soil in which possibility grows. The Life After School Summit goes beyond learning how to prepare CVs and conduct yourself in interviews. It is about equipping you with something deeper, the knowledge and skills to start strong, to build your path, and the mindset to know that you can shape your own future.
The summit features a lineup of seasoned professionals who dish out insights and practical advice to help the students thrive beyond the classroom.
It was never easy because even from Irakpada, I was always borrowing money from individuals, from family. Then I moved to borrowing from banks. And a lot of people in my industry will say, why will you take bank loan to fund film?
Deeply honored to have him in our...
The Minister for Youth Development also shares some fascinating stories from his own journey, experiences that many may find hard to believe, but true.
In the city of Akure, I've been dancing with dead body. Everybody will see you, you'll be dancing. I was once a conductor in Egbeda Akumojo. I was once served going to Baba Aladiye, Yemkem, Igbedi, Dimu, Isheri, and all that. But the story is sweet today because when you believe in yourself, somebody will notice you.
With many young people struggling with clarity after graduation, this summit provides them with the confidence and sense of direction needed for their careers.
The job market in Nigeria is extremely competitive, and summits like Life After School allow the students to be exposed to skill development, knowledge building, and other things that set them apart in such a competitive market as well.
This is the second time this summit is happening, and as the world of work continues to evolve with technology and new skill demands, the Life After School Annual Summit is helping bridge the gap between what schools teach and what the employers actually need.
Well, that's it from the nation's capital. Back to Anne for the rest of the news.
Thank you, Terry. Next on the news at 10, outside our shores, Amazon restores normalcy after massive outage disrupted major websites and apps globally. So some U.S. users continue to experience intermittent connectivity issues. We'll bring you the details. Please stay with us. Welcome back. Let's turn our attention to the world of business now. Will Ebong has more stories.
Thank you, Anne. The Nigerian Communications Commission has launched a new quarterly network performance report to promote transparency and improve service delivery in the quality across the telecom sector in the country. The reports will track national network performance, 5G rollout, and consumer experience using data from millions of users nationwide. NCC boss Aminu Maida said the move marks a shift toward data-driven regulation that empowers consumers, investors, and operators. He described the reports as regulation by sunlight, saying public access to the credible data will boost competition and push networks to improve their services. The reports will be published on the NCC website every quarter. Agencies, including the FCCPC and NITDA, backed the initiative, describing it as a major step towards fairness, innovation, and accountability in Nigeria's digital space. And with that, we head to the domestic equities market, which opened the trading week with a fresh record high on buy interest in Boa Cement. Ladi Williams tells us more.
Hello and welcome to the Stock Market Report. Well, we see the market kicking off this week on a bright note with the NGX All-Share Index climbing 0.65%, taking us to levels we've not seen before. I guess it's price discovery at this point, just about 57 points more to hit the 150,000 level. That should be easy, for the bulls this week, I think, at this point. But we'll see if it hits 95 trillion for the market cap. Let's look at the market move now. We see Boa Cement Cement, closing at 117 naira per share. We also see some other big boys, coming out to play today, likes of MTN Nigeria, Aradel, and some tier 1 banks, also rising, giving us that big gain that was sold today. And for the sectoral performance, we see the banking counter there. That's up, not so bad. There's 0.50% to start the week. Consumer goods about 7 basis points. Oil and gas, a big 0.65%. So while the bulls held a slight edge today, all eyes remain on, sector rotation, macro cues that could shape the rest of the week's trading trend.
And that's business. It's back to you, Anne.
Thank you, Will. Let's now join Simon Puse with more international news and around the world in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the Channel Studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. US President Donald Trump says the ceasefire in Gaza is still in place hours after Israel's military said it carried out a wave of strikes against Hamas. The IDF said it would resume enforcement of the ceasefire after Israel and Hamas accused each other of breaching the deal. Strikes began in southern Gaza on Sunday after the Israeli military said terrorists fired an anti-tank missile and gunfire towards its troops in Rafah, killing 2 soldiers. Hamas said it was unaware of any clashes in the area under Israeli control.
We want to make sure that it's going to be very peaceful with Hamas, and as you know, they've been quite rambunctious. They've been doing some shooting, and we think maybe the leadership isn't involved in that. Some rebels within, but either way, it's going to be handled properly. It's going to be handled toughly, but properly.
Is the ceasefire still in place?
Yeah, it is.
A major manhunt is underway for a gang of thieves who stole 8 priceless jewels from the Louvre in Paris over the weekend. Here footage of one of the robbers breaking into one of the glass cabinets. Thieves stole 8 jewels described as being priceless before escaping on scooters. There are fears that unless the thieves are caught quickly, the items, including a diamond and emerald necklace Emperor Napoleon gave to his wife, will be broken up and smuggled out of the country. The museum announced it would be staying closed on Monday following the theft. 2 Hong Kong airport security staff have been killed after a plane skidded off the runway, hitting their patrol car before ploughing into the sea. The Emirates flight was arriving from Dubai at 3:50 a.m. local time when it veered off the runway, crashed through a perimeter fence and collided with the security vehicle, pushing it into the water. The 2 people inside died. The Boeing 747 ended up partially submerged, but the 4 crew on board survived. Officials are investigating the cause. Bolivia has elected a centrist senator, Rodrigo Paz, as its next president, bringing an end to nearly 20 years of continuous rule by the Movement for Socialism Party. With almost all votes counted, Paz of the Christian Democratic Party defeated the right-wing candidate. A severe economic crisis and infighting within MAS, which has dominated Bolivian politics since 2006, saw many voters wanting change. Paz has said he will end fuel shortages and address Bolivia's wider economic problems.
And today, from this victory, we extend our hand to govern with all men and women who love the homeland. This is not an ideological issue because Bolivians know ideology doesn't feed us. What feeds us is the right to work.
Business leaders in Bangladesh fear losses of more than $1 billion after a devastating fire broke out in the logistics section of the country's main airport. Clothes and raw materials were among the goods destroyed, which could put some businesses at risk, according to the country's export associations. The cause of the fire, which took 27 hours to extinguish, is still being investigated. The blaze had forced the temporary suspension of flights and airport operations. A bus driver has died after being hit when a coach carrying supporters of an Italian basketball team was attacked with stones, allegedly by rival fans. Pistoia basket fans were travelling on the highway near the town of Rieti, northeast of Rome, when, according to local media, fans of SRS Sebastiani Rieti began throwing objects. Fans of the Tuscany-based Pistoia were travelling back from the game between the two second-tier sides, which the team won. And millions of Indians are celebrating Diwali, the Festival of Lights, one of Hinduism's most significant and widely observed festivals. Lamps and firecrackers have been lighting up homes and streets during the festival, also observed by Sikhs. The festival is celebrated around the world, here in India, and here also in Australia, in Sydney. In recent years, several states have restricted or banned firecrackers and fireworks to combat rising air pollution. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel studios in Lagos.
Thank you, Simon. Welcome to Sports News. 10-time Women's African Cup of Nations champions, the Super Falcons of Nigeria, commenced training sessions earlier today in the Togolese capital, Lomé, ahead of their 2026 Women African Cup of Nations final qualifying fixture. First leg match against Beninois counterpart, which will take place on Friday. Both West African neighbors clash in a final qualifying fixture for the 2026 Women African Cup of Nations Championships to be hosted by Morocco, and which serves as Africa's qualifying tournament for the 2027 FIFA Women's World Cup Finals. The return leg of the fixture will be played in Abeokuta. The national under-17 women's head coach Bankole Olowokere says his Flamingos team are paid dearly for not utilizing their chances against Canada in the 4-1 loss at the ongoing FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup Group D opener in Morocco. Canada took the lead barely 2 minutes into the game. Queen Joseph equalized before half-time. The Canadians dominated the second half, netting 3 more goals to pick maximum 3 points. The Flamingos will next take on France on Wednesday evening. That Sports is back to you, Anne.
Thank you, Chris. And the main news again. There was tension in Abuja as police dispersed pro-Nnamdi Kanu protesters with tear gas, arrested his brother, lawyer, and others for defying court order. And that's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Anne Nwawade. Good night, and please stay safe.